Hello, you're welcome to another episode of the Vigilant podcast. And I'm your host, Elizabeth Veegil. With me in the studio is my co-host, Favor Aya, and we will be doing this together. On today's podcast, we'll be discussing an interesting topic, education versus skill acquisition. Which is better? But before we proceed further, if you're yet to listen to previous episode of our podcast, you should do so because there are one or two things you can learn from it. Just visit Virgin Media on Spotify or Audiomack and go through our podcast series that we have done. Alright, straight into today's podcast discussion. Favor, how are you doing today?
I'm good, I'm fine.
Alright, so Favor, what is your take on this topic?
Yeah, when I looked at this topic, it took me somewhere back in the days. That's in primary school when we have debate topics like doctors, teachers, farmers, teachers. And I came to a conclusion that this is an undying debate and it still will be going on and on. As a matter of fact, I was in one of the graduation ceremony and the kids were also debating on this same topic, doctors and teachers. Which of them are more important to the society? I was like, are we still here after all these years? You are not still left. You are still debating on this. So this education and skill, this what it looks like. This is exactly what it is. You can never come to a conclusion. People have a lot to say about it. It will go on and on, years to years, in different platforms. People have something to say about education and skill. It is the order of the day. So I think it's a quite controversial topic.
So that is worth discussing on.
Yeah.
All right. So to lay a good background for our discussion, let me take you into a report and a study conducted by Harvard Business School. Now, the report showed that between 2007 and 2010, job postings listing a bachelor's degree requirement as a condition of employment rose by 10%. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
The study also showed that 9 in 10 jobs that requires a degree didn't contain a different or what added responsibilities to those that didn't require a degree. I mean, it's the same thing they'll be doing.
Yeah.
So the question now is, Favor, why do employers place a big importance on degrees as a criterion for employment if the job responsibilities for those without it is the same? What is your take on this?
Well, I think people always have their opinion on things. This will take me to a post that was made on Twitter that was around July last year. So a CEO of a company made a post, more of a picture. He depicted what skill is all about and what education is all about. In his own picture of skill, he depicted a plant with a deep root, but not so much flowers. Then in education, there was so much flowers, but the root is not deep. So when he made the post, there were so many comments, but one person said, I think a lady in particular said, your company will be the first one to reject a candidate if he comes with only skill and not degree. So sometimes what they say is not actually what they practice. It's the people that are in the labor market that are applying for the job that knows what they're actually passing through. A CEO has made his own statement, but this is someone that applies for a job. He knows that I've been in so company with a skill and I was rejected because I didn't have the degree. So I think, like I said, a lot of people will actually have something to say about, they will have a stand. I stand with skill, I stand with education. But the real thing is that is any of them more important than the other.
Yeah, this is why there is need for us to define this concept. I think people have misconceptions about what education is all about and skill acquisition. So, favor looking at these two concepts, there's need to define them separately. We have on one hand is education, on the other hand is skill acquisition. To you, I also will be defining mine, but I feel I would love to hear your own viewpoint. What do you see education as?
Okay, I'll start by saying that in the actual sense, education is the embodiment of both knowledge and skill. But because of some systems, mostly in third world countries, there came to be a division between the two. There is skill and there is now education.
All right.
That's sad. So from the definition of education is like the impacting and acquiring of knowledge, basic knowledge.
All right.
There's rudimental knowledge, the knowledge that will guide you on how to go through a particular course, a particular skill. Then skill acquisition itself is the practice of what education entails. If you studied computer engineering or whatever, the skill of that is can you practice this?
All right.
Leave theory. Education has given you the theory. Then in practice, can you actually do this? So that's the division that comes between education and skill, whereas it would have entailed, like it would have embodied the two.
Okay, favor. Let me say this. I think we're actually speaking two big grammars. Let's come down to the Nigerian setting.
Okay.
Education in Nigeria is, I went to the university, I have degree, and they gave me a certificate. I've come to show my parents, oh mom, I'm a graduate. Now in Nigeria, the skill acquisition as you went to Mama Choma shop, you get, and maybe you went to learn one or two skills. It could be hairdressing, tailoring, and all that. So in the Nigerian setting, if I'm defining education, we see it as we went to the four walls of the university. So when you tell somebody that, oh, I'm educated, they want to see that degree.
Yes.
They are not seeing it in the sense that it could be an informal education. And if you tell somebody that, oh, I have a skill, the next thing is, oh, did you learn a trade? So that is what
funny.
People see education as, and they see skill acquisition as. So that is why I wanted us to define this concept so that we could be able to dissect this topic very well. Which brings me to the next thing we have to discuss. The funny part about this issue of degree is that the further report of the Harvard Business School states that employees believe that those who have college degree are more job ready, and they have both hard and soft skill, including verbal communications. So the implication of this statement or this report is that those with degree should be employed more. But I think in the Nigerian setting, isn't the reversal the case? Because those who actually have skill, in the sense that maybe they go online, they take a professional course and they get certified. They don't have a degree. They only have a kind of certificate that shows that they have experience in this field. And education system only exposes us to the rudiments, like you said. And so when these people go and apply for a job remotely, I'm talking from a remote experience, they get job. So this report, isn't this report meant to be something that needs to be looked into? I mean, if you say people with degree from college are more job ready and they need to be employed, why is many youths in Nigeria with a degree not employed?
It's funny how people see education,
right?
That it must be formal, and that's why most people will say, Bill Gates, he was even a dropout. And I laugh. He had the knowledge. Education is more about what you know. Someone at the age of 13 and he was already programming and building softwares. So you cannot tell me that Bill Gates he was even in prep school then. That's like a middle school. You can't tell me that Bill Gates wasn't educated. You can't use that word because they say that because there's no degree to show for it. They'll tell you he doesn't have a degree, but he was educated.
Exactly.
Degree is different and education is different. You might have the degree and you don't have the education.
Yes.
You might have the education and you don't have the degree. So, coming to what you've said, I think that most graduates from Nigerian schools
All right.
are not getting the job
Okay.
because they lack the skill, which is what the market wants. This is what recruiters need. So they cannot start taking you through series of trainings. For goodness sake, you're a graduate, so you should know. So that's where I think that Nigerian graduates should do better in self-development. If you're studying a particular course, go after the skill part of that course. I want to practice this computer, not over a textbook. Let me see it, let me operate it, let me do this part of the technical stuffs in it. So youths are not getting job just because they are graduates, because they don't have the rightful skills, and that is what they should pursue, because education doesn't hold much water without skill. Same way skill doesn't hold much water without education. When you have skill alone, you will be stagnant in that particular place. You don't, but education is what will skyrocket you and lead you through that part of growing in that particular skill that you have gained.
You're so right, Favor. I mean, there's something you said that actually captivated me. You talked about the Nigerian students have to, self-develop. So you're talking about self-investment in the sense that we already know that the system of education let me just be specific, in the third world countries actually is limited in the sense that we are only exposed to what? Theory knowledge. And so we know so many companies are looking for people with 4 years experience. How do I want to get 4 years experience when I already spent 4 years learning that particular course? Okay, I believe, I have a degree. It stated 4 years she's studying. So this is my 4 years experience. But then, like you said, they need a practical skill, which I don't have. And based on this report, it's stating that employers prefer those with degree, but I think that is not really the case, because when you go to the labor market and you are job hunting, you find out that your degree is not qualifying you because you don't have the the skill. Like you said, you don't have the practical skill. You only learn the basics, but you can't actually do it. And no company is willing to start teaching you. They want people who are good, who are experts.
Yes.
So there is no system for people who will come in to start learning. I think the only sector that has that tendency to train people is the banking sector. When you come in as an intern, I think they actually do that. They train people, but in several industries, they want people who will come in and they are good. So that is why I agree with what you say, that all Nigerian students need to ask themselves this question: why acquiring this? And I'm seeing what is happening. I really need to acquire the practical
It's
skill.
a serious case. Like myself, when I left school, I was already tired. And I said to myself, once I'm done with this degree,
you're done.
Nobody will see me again. I even said, even billboard, I will not read. That's the end of it. So, but funny enough, I was just saying rubbish, because when I came out to the outside world, I gained understanding. Even one of my friends called and said, I'm going through this course in Coursera and I want to apply for it. Then I told her, the rest. When did we leave school? We just left school like months ago. What again are you going after? I told her, for me, I need to rest. Even if I'm going to consider education, it's going to be a long time. But as time went on, I saw that the world has evolved for you to settle for just a degree. A degree is just a basic. So I just started looking for things to do, where to apply and develop myself, because nobody cares about your bachelor's degree or whatever. They need you to diversify and know more, be exposed, know what is current. So I really think that self-development, you have to strike a balance. If you have a skill, okay, then try to gain education. It will help you go a long way. If you have education, don't settle for it. Don't settle for it. You should go for a skill, it will bring out the richness of that your education. So I really think people should go for self-development, seek for more degrees, seek for more skills, develop. Don't leave one at the expense of the other.
Yes, when you were talking about your friend who is taking Coursera, I just remembered a classmate of mine who, after we graduated, he told me that, oh, Elizabeth, I'm done with school. The funniest thing is that he told me that he's going for his master's. I'm like, but you're the one who said you're done with school. So what happened? He went back to school because he said he made a reference to Chimamanda Adichie.
Yeah.
I mean, this is someone who has perfectly combined education with skill. I mean, she's actually she has so many honorary degrees and everything. She's also an author. She's invited to come and speak and in various platforms. I mean, she's well celebrated by people. So this is he made reference to her. I was like, oh, so is that the motivation? He said, Elizabeth, can I tell you something? He said, education is actually very good. People say education, school na scam. Like Nigeria statement with that. School is scam. But he said school isn't scam because if you have education, it's more like you have a higher CV that can take you to higher levels. You get? It's just like you say now, those people that have education and they are settling for just the degree. That paper, if it catch fire, it has gone. And you just have the theory knowledge. So let me just put it this way, that the degree we have is just one of the in the CV. Now the total package of your CV is just one of it. It's not even leveling up to what's required for you to dominate the global world. I mean, this is someone who has dominated globally. We have the likes of Okonjo-Iweala that's dominated globally. I mean, many women are leading at the forefront, not just at the national level. But the reason why they were able to take it to the international level is because they have combined what? Education with skill. Now, I think we should go to this aspect of skill acquisition. I've been wanting to ask you this question.
Okay.
Learning trade, Nigeria call it trade. Is it actually a part of, more like the apprenticeship? You go to that the Uchenna and learn how to sell rice or something like that.
Minimum of 5.
Is it actually part of this thing called skill acquisition?
The thing is that everybody has to fit in somewhere in the society.
Right.
Either through formal education or self-development. This learning of trade, I'll call it self-development.
Right.
And from there, you start your own market. So, learning a trade is actually skill acquisition.
Okay.
You mustn't be within the four walls of a classroom for you to acquire a skill or become something. People learn trade in Nigeria because most people are not into formal education. So you can't tell people like that to go to hell or get useless.
Okay.
So they have to fit in somewhere in the society, and markets is a very important aspect of the country. So those people have to acquire their own vocational skill, which is not an educational skill.
Yeah.
They have to go, let me learn how to make hair, let me know how to make clothes and fashion design, a lot of them.
Yes.
So this is a kind of, they diversify their own skill acquisition. So it mustn't be within ABC or whatever English has to say about that. So I really think that people that are into learning trade, as Nigerians would call it, they are part of the skill acquisition community, and if you are doing well in that, I think you rather continue.
Okay, so for those who are actually doing that, don't you think they will have a higher leverage if they actually have a degree or they actually acquire education, like a formal education? I will cite an instance. I have a senior colleague who graduated from mass communication with a 2-1. She's actually into rice business. She sells rice, Abakaliki rice.
Yeah.
Now, believe me, an uneducated person in the market, if you go to an ordinary market, sells the same rice and is doing well.
Yeah.
Now, but do you know that this person is limited to sales? Now, because of the knowledge she has and the exposure, she took her business online. Now, she created multiple channels for her business. Do you know in a month, she sells not less than 10 million for my rice business, which on a normal process, somebody who sells in the market, an uneducated person, will just have maybe workers and will never amount to this thing. So what is your take on this? She combined what? Education to the trade that she was able to
I'm not surprised. Like I said, education is like a step ahead of it all. You cannot be in same level when you are educated. It opens your mind to so many ways of reasoning. It's knowledge. Knowledge is a different thing that I just open a shop to do business, and that I'm educated and I'm doing this business. The way you reason, the way you do your content, the way I never knew that market people do content until recent. And that's what education brings about.
Yes.
When you are educated, the way you run your own things is quite different because you have gained that extra knowledge. You have sat down and you have studied things and you know the pros and the cons of that particular thing and how I can market this. It's not about opening shop and placing 2 bags of rice in the front.
Exactly.
There are ways. So education like broadens your reasoning, widens up the way you think about things and the way you go about them.
So from what you just said, I can draw this conclusion that you said, like from what you said, that somebody who has a skill and is actually has a degree has a better chances of doing well. I don't know if you have seen this recent brand that has been going viral. Okay, I will cite 2 instances. We have Maureen Emenike. She's actually a Nigerian student. Okay. I don't know if you know Gary, the Gary we eat and drink. Do you know that around early this year, Maureen came up with a product that went viral? Now, she called it Gafe.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
She added Gary into a... Now, can you see where education has come into skill? Yes. Another aspect is, this thing is, this Akara Beyond. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
The grandma that is selling Akara and her son who dropped out.
I saw that too.
Went ahead towards make that into a... Like, he remodeled it, added chicken and everything. I still feel that adding education to skill is very vital.
Like a tweet said, like education is the blossom. Like it makes your skill attractive.
Yeah.
It beautify, like it gives glow to your skill. You might just when you have a skill and without education, you can't think more than the basics. I just have to do this. This is the way it has been going on and on. But when you have education, you bring up ideas on how to advance this particular product. What will make mine different from what others are. That's what education is. It makes it like the person said, it's the blossom of skill. When you have education and you have a skill too, you cannot settle for less. You cannot be the bare minimum. Like you try to do things exceptionally.
Exactly. So that is why I have another question.
Yeah.
Education is said to be the bedrock of success, but we have seen a lot of people who actually have good degrees. I mean, I've seen first class who have good degrees, but they are not succeeding. So the question is education truly the bedrock of success, and does it guarantee you securing a job or increases your chances of being employed without the skill? Can you say education, because we have been preaching the importance of having education even if you have skill, so it's more like we're exalting education. So is it truly the bedrock of success, or have they actually thrown the key of the education?
Like I said, the world has evolved. There are so many quotes that doesn't hold water.
Okay.
As of 2023, as of the century that we are in, there are so many quotes that don't hold water. Education, I won't debate that. It's quite important, but you can't hold on only to education.
Right.
You can't say that I'm educated, I studied this, and the skill part of that, I cannot do it. Your education is almost irrelevant. Because you have to practice it, and once you're not practicing it, you are not making any use of it. So it's just a way of uselessing whatever degree you've gained or whatever in whatever class you think you have graduated with.
Yeah.
So if you don't, education on its own cannot stand without a skill. It makes it meaningless. It makes a mockery of what education actually entails. And on the other hand, when you have a skill without education, you are going to be dormant. Except you develop yourself. It mustn't be, when I'm talking about education now, it mustn't be formal. You have to find a way to enlighten what you have gained, what your hands are able to do, what your brains are able to develop. You have to find a way to build up on that so that you can be moving on with the train.
That is to say that if I have a skill and I don't hold a degree, let's leave the informal now. I mean, I don't have a degree. It means that there are certain heights I can't get to, because at one point I will feel so cheated and I'll feel like these people are actually not giving me my right, but because I don't stand a chance. When I have more experience, I mean, I know the practical knowledge, but someone just comes and like, hey, I'm a first class, and because he or she also have that same experience, he or she can actually have an advantage over me.
See, education fits you in so many places. I'll go to what a particular music producer said, I think in 2021. On his Instagram story, someone asked, is school that important? If I'm very creative. And he replied, education is very important and a major plus. I just missed a life-changing appointment because I don't have the required degree.
Wow.
I am going back to school soon. I don't want to be limited in any way.
Wow.
This is someone that he's an employer. He has so many people under him. He's rich. He's an influencer. He has everything. But here he stated quite obviously that he didn't get a particular opportunity, a life-changing opportunity, because he didn't have the degree. He thought this person has the money and everything, but the degree wasn't there. So because of that, he was limited. He couldn't pass through some certain doors. He couldn't stand between some of his equals. So you have to get education if you want to grow and if you want to stand in certain places.
Oh, that was all right. So I think there's actually a need for us to find a way out. If just having education can actually put you on a spot whereby you won't be able to, create a system of wealth for yourself because you don't have the needful experiences. And on the other hand, are those that have the skill that people need or employers need, but because of everything has changed, the world has evolved, the system has evolved, people want to have on their theme people that actually have the degree, because they need people who can, communicate.
Yeah.
Because most uneducated people actually lack, good verbal communication. They are able to work in a team and all that.
Exactly.
They don't know all this. So how do we now strike a balance? What is the way out for a Nigerian student, or let me just put it generally, what is the way out for us to, balance this? Are we going to be picking that education is better or skill is better? Because I feel that both are needful. So what is the way out?
Exactly. It's just like as you said, it's education and skill, they are interwoven. If you talk about people that have education, mostly we have the likes of Okonjo-Iweala and Chimamanda, as you said, but they also had skill. Okay, if you want to talk about people that didn't really depend on education, like the likes of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, they say, those people too did not actually leave education. They acquired the knowledge they had before they now went to pursue the skill. And I'll tell you, those people, you see Zuckerberg, you see Gates, they are not going to employ you if you drop out from Harvard or wherever.
They did not graduate from
They knew like they were capable to drop out, but you can't assure them that I myself, I was capable to leave Harvard or to leave University of Nigeria, Suga.
You're talking about Harvard. Harvard.
Oh, yeah.
Not UAM.
So this week draws to like a conclusion. That's where we have to be wise. Look at what this person did and he's succeeding. Look at what the other person did and she's succeeding. We have to come to a conclusion that education, skill, they are interwoven.
Okay.
You can't separate them if you want to excel in the present world. So my advice to Nigerian graduates, undergraduates, prospective students out there is that as you are pursuing your education, also try to strike a balance.
Yeah.
Try to pursue the skill part of it or any other skill that you feel that is needed in today's market, today's world. So that eventually you should come out, you will be useful to the society. You will not be stranded. You will not feel like your times were wasted. So for you to fit in, for you to be balanced, you have to get education and you have to get skill as well.
Yeah. To add to what Favor have said, I also hold the opinion that don't just, depend on your degree alone. You should ensure that you acquire a skill to balance it. I mean, the world is evolving every day, and looking at where we are coming from, in fact, being a Nigerian is already a big disadvantage. So why give yourself a double disadvantage by just sticking with only a degree from your university that keep teaching you what they learned so many years ago? I mean, the curriculum is not being updated. So if you are a prospective Nigerian student, you're a Jambite, or you're actually in the Nigerian school right now, please, you should ensure that you balance both, because none is better. Both of them are actually incorporated into each other, and we actually help you to go far. So it's on this note we will end this podcast show with these words for you to ponder on. Why education is considered the bedrock of success. I feel education with skills is the portal that opens you to endless accomplishments and cracking the code for global dominance and wealth. Favor, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this.
I did. You're welcome.
All right, so till next time we come again your way. This is the Vigilant Podcast. Join us in the next episode. Bye for now.